Premier League fans, I don't actually know where to begin. Chelsea lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. I didn't see it coming, people. I'm not gonna lie to you. Wow, they played well. I didn't see it coming, but they bowled out. The surprise Chelsea from the get-go, and literally did not stop playing really good football. They deserve those 3 points, and that's what the Premier League is about. Surprise after surprise after surprise. And that's why we love it. Thank you for tuning in today. We've got on a Saturday the early kickoff, Burnley hosting Man City. The Claret will be without Steven Defoe, who has been instrumental in allowing them to be in the position in which they are in. For those that also remember, Steven Defoe was actually quoted by Man United in 2009. He actually broke his leg playing for Standard Liège in Belgium. And guess who called him? Actually sent him a letter? Sir Alex Ferguson. That's how good this guy was. Unfortunately, his career didn't pan out the way it should have. He ended up going to Porto, made a few appearances, actually not a few appearances, I made loads of appearances down there. He played really good football down there as well, and then managed end up finding his way to the Premier League. Not to United as he was perhaps destined to be, but he's playing for a very good team that has a lot of ambitions, a very good manager and a very good squad that plays really well collectively. They'll be going against City. These guys I've mentioned on numerous occasions, they are going for the title. They met 7 times and Burnley only managed 1 win. City played really well. Unfortunately, it's the early kickoff. As much as I would like to see Man City coming up and outclassing Burnley, I feel like this Burnley team can actually defend really well, especially against the big teams. And I'm going to go for a draw because I believe Burnley will pack the bus, not allow City to do what they usually do. Burnley and Man City, the first game of the Saturday kickoff is going to be a draw, people. So now on to Bournemouth, who I didn't actually see them doing something quite incredible, beating Chelsea on their home turf by 3-0. That was an astonishing performance by Bournemouth. They came out to play. They literally came out to play. They did not hesitate every time they went forward. From the fullbacks all the way to the centre midfielders, all the way to the strikers, they were on form. They played really well. And Callum Wilson, for me, Callum Wilson literally made a case for him to be taken to the World Cup. Callum Wilson's a bowler. He was plagued by numerous injuries, but he came back stronger, and now Callum Wilson is bowling. Callum Wilson can score goals. He's a very crafty striker that can actually find places inside the box and actually score important goals. And he has a lot of potential. And the game against Chelsea was actually clear proof for how good this guy can actually be. Their opponent on Saturday will be Stoke. Stoke, going to this game, have been unbeaten in 2 straight games. They've got a new manager in Paul Lambert. He's starting to implement his style. These guys, Stoke, are playing good. They're starting to get back into their rhythm. They are a good team. Stoke is a very good team. Under Tony Pulis, you know what you get from them. You can't beat them at home, and it's hard to play them on the road as well. However, Stoke will be going against a Bournemouth team that hasn't lost in the last 6 games and have been beaten on 2 straight home games. I fancy Bournemouth being at home to do what they need to do in order to get the 3 points. Bournemouth are going to come a big time in this game. Having won against Chelsea, Bournemouth are going to do the business again at home against Stoke. Bournemouth to win this game. Brighton going against West Ham. Brighton actually won the reverse fixture back in October by 3-0. Unfortunately for Brighton, they're coming off a 4-0 loss to Chelsea at home. West Ham, on the other hand, have only lost 1 game in the last 10 matches. It's going to be a tricky matchup for either teams, but I feel like David Moyes is showing the coaching and managerial skills that allowed him and Everton to always finish close to the top tier of the teams in the Premier League. Everton often would finish 6th or 7th and will always be in the Europa League. David Moyes is a good manager. You can see it. Unbeaten over the past 9 games. These guys can play. These guys mean business. It's going to be a tricky matchup for them at Brighton, but I'm going to favour West Ham to do what they need to do and get the 3 points. West Ham win this game. Next, we've got Leicester going against Swansea. Leicester lost on the road to Everton. You've got Mahrez, who's on strike because his move to Man City did not materialise. But on the other side, you've got a Swansea team that's pumped up, people. Swansea really is having a very good run of football games at the moment. They've hammered Arsenal 3-1 on Tuesday, and they're also, the previous game, the game prior to that, they also managed to beat Liverpool 1-0. So that's two straight back-to-back wins against some of the top teams in the Premier League. Unfortunately, their record against Leicester does not bode well. They've met 5 times. Leicester has won 4 of those meetings, and the Swans have 1 victory. Leicester heading to this game will want to prove to everyone they can do what they need to do in order to win games without Mahrez in their squad. Leicester will be fiery, just as Swansea would also be, given that they've won 6 points against some of the big teams in the league, like I've just said. But Leicester are a tricky team to play against. Swansea, they've managed to reunite the Ayew brothers. You got Jordan and Andre now in the same team. Hopefully, with Boney up front and Tammy Abraham, these guys will be able to galvanise the rest of the team and head in the right direction. Unfortunately, it's not going to be against Leicester. Leicester are going to do what they need to do and win the game. I'm going for Leicester to win this game. Up next, we've got United going against Huddersfield. The first meeting back in October was actually a win for Huddersfield, which was a 2-1 victory for the Yorkshire team. They'll be facing a deflated United team that lost 2-0 to Spurs, but I feel like Mourinho is the type of guy or type of manager that would not allow himself to actually lose in the season back to back. So he's going to do everything he needs to do. Also, coming from a game in which they lost and dropped points, I don't think you would want to lose or drop points in back to back games. Mourinho and Manchester United are going to go out, pull all the stops, and try to make sure Huddersfield does not get the back to back games victories on them. West Brom going against Southampton. West Brom managed to get the services of Daniel Sturridge on loan, which is a big move for them, especially given that they don't actually score that many goals. You're going against a Southampton team that has been up and down. Unfortunately, they've also have a few strikers that will be out. They've managed to get Carrillo from Monaco, like I mentioned in my previous video, but West Brom are going to go out big time and try to get the ball to Daniel Sturridge and let him do his magic. Fortunately for them, Daniel Sturridge has a very good record of scoring in his debut for any new club besides Chelsea. He's going to do what he needs to do. This guy is very good, he's very talented. Unfortunately, he wasn't getting his playing time at Liverpool. He will want to go out there and prove that he's worthy of being in our side, if not in our side, in another big team. Daniel Sturridge will allow West Brom to get a 3 point against the Southampton team. West Brom win the game. Arsenal going against Everton. Arsenal suffered miserably against Swansea, losing 3-1. They managed to acquire Aubameyang for Dortmund, able to offload Giroud to Chelsea. It's not really offload because Olivier Giroud has a record of scoring 17 goals as a substitute in the Premier League, which hasn't been done by anyone. When you think about it, in terms of efficiency, this is the guy that can actually allow you to win games when you much need it, when you really need it, when you need the 3 points, or you actually just need a draw. You can come off the bench and win you games, but 18 to 19 million to Chelsea and have your arch rival, it's one of those things that the fans would actually try to question. But Arsene Wenger has been known for making weird transfer moves, especially if you take into account the fact that Arsenal will be going against Everton, and Everton has Walcott, who was actually sold by Arsenal the previous month for around 25 million. These are guys that can actually win you games at times. Though the productivity is not there on a consistent basis, there is a sense that you may actually need them at times, especially if you also take into account the fact that these guys have been top goal scorers of Arsenal over the past few years. But like I say, Arsenal make decisions that I don't actually understand. Unfortunately for Everton going into this game, they don't really do well at the Emirates. It's going to be a tough matchup for them. Arsenal would try to bounce back, having lost against Swansea. There are doubts over the fact that Aubameyang will be ready to play, given that he's currently feeling ill. If you have to go by the simple fact that Everton will actually do well at the Emirates, and also the fact that Arsenal also do well at home, it's going to be an interesting game. You would want to see Walcott go at it and prove that Arsenal were wrong in selling him, but also Arsenal proved to Walcott they were right in selling him because they don't actually need him in order to win the game, or by hopefully winning the game. And like I said, like I previously mentioned about guys like Giroud being sold to a nice rival like Chelsea, who you try to compete against in order to win the title. Questionable moves. Arsenal will always be Arsenal. But this game is going to be interesting. Wayne Rooney has a very good record against Arsenal. He may potentially score. I'm going to favour Arsenal in this game. Arsenal will get a victory. Arsenal to win this game. So, on the Sunday, we have Crystal Palace hosting Newcastle United. Crystal Palace has only lost once in the last 10 games. This team is getting well drilled by Roy Hodgson. They're playing really well, and they are becoming a tough matchup for many teams in the league at the moment. On the other side, Newcastle, they have made some really interesting moves over the past month. You've managed to get in Kennedy from Chelsea and Slimani on loan from Leicester. Slimani is a very good goal scorer coming in from Leicester, who don't actually feel like they actually need him at the moment. But Slimani has a very good record playing in Portugal. This guy can score goals, and Newcastle need goal scorers. Slimani hopefully will be able to fill the void that has been missing for quite some time. Unfortunately, I said going against a team that has only lost once in the last 10 games. Crystal Palace are going to pose a lot of threat to Newcastle. It's going to be a good game, but Palace are going to come on top. Palace are going to win this game. The other Sunday game will see Liverpool hosting Spurs. Both teams coming into this game have won the last game. Spurs had a very good performance against United, managing a 2-1 win. And over the past 5 meetings that these two teams have had, there's been 3 draws, 1 win for each team. At first, I was tempted to go for a draw between these two guys. I felt like they would cancel each other out, given how tactically they will probably be prepared going into this game. But then again, I thought myself, Liverpool being at home, they've got crafty and a very, very talented guys that can actually make changes in the game in a split of a second. You're talking about guys like Mane, you're talking about a guy like Mohamed Salah, you're also talking about a guy like Firmino. So, but I think it's going to be a lively game, but I bet it's probably both teams are going to cancel each other out, and it's going to be probably a 1-0 win for one of those teams. I'm going to go for Liverpool because I believe Mohamed Salah is going to come up big time. This guy is very good. Definitely going to win Premier League Player of the Year this season. I mean, it's going to be a tough one between him and Kevin De Bruyne because both of these guys have been outstanding this season, so far this season, and hopefully for many more games to come. But Mohamed Salah is going to come up big time for Liverpool. Liverpool are going to win this game. So the final game sees Watford hosting Chelsea. Watford will be going against Chelsea, deflated Chelsea team that lost. I mean, like I mentioned at the start of the video, when you think about how well Chelsea played against Arsenal in the FA Cup, though they lost the game, but the game prior to that, where they managed to beat Brighton by 4-0, you would think, right, this is the type of game, it's probably a similar type of game, especially when you're playing at home. They'll easily see off Bournemouth, but it wasn't the case. So Chelsea, morally, I'm sure they are deflated. Unfortunately for Watford, they haven't beaten Chelsea over the past 5 meetings that these two teams have had. It's going to be a tough matchup. Though Chelsea are playing on the road, I believe Chelsea may scrape a victory. But I'm going to go for a draw because I feel like Watford at home, they're going to play well defensively and they're not going to allow Chelsea to do what Chelsea usually does, which is plays really well down the wings and allow their wingers to come through in the 6-yard area and do what they need to do and score goals. Chelsea going against Watford, for me it's going to be a draw. So that's my final prediction of the week. Do comment below to let me know what you guys think about those predictions, and until next time, take care people, peace.